Since I started reading this manga, one persistent question has been bouncing around in my mind like a hyperactive chitinata. What would happen if I planted multiple cuties? Could they blossom into strong, enchanting women, allowing me to finally create my harem? I guess we will never know. Unless... Akina Shoji, who worked tirelessly as a corporate slave at a soul-crushing corporation, came to despise his life. But after enduring long days of overtime, he finally saved enough money to start his own store and break free from the oppressive company that had employed him. However, in that ecstatic state of knowing he was finally going to realize his dream, he suddenly faints. In the next moment, his life turns upside down as he finds himself inexplicably summoned to a different world. Surrounded by guardians and mages, with the king before him hailing him as a hero, Shoji can't help but believe it's all just a dream. But the king explains that it is not the case, and this is indeed another world. From here on, he elaborates on the basic Ice Guy introduction, explaining how their country has been locked in a relentless battle against evil demons. Despite their valiant efforts, they have gradually been outnumbered. Thankfully, they managed to summon the hero, whom they now want to offer his strength and protect them. As always, once summoned to this world, the hero receives skills from God. To access them, one simply needs to shout, "Skill open," and a panel with information about oneself should appear in front of their eyes. Upon calling the skill menu, cultivation appears. An ability that causes anything, the hero berries in a field to grow at an extreme speed. This leaves him utterly baffled, wondering if his brain is just messing around with him. Unfortunately, when discovering his power, everyone around believes the hero turned out to be a flop, and they're eager to kick him to the curb. Surprisingly, this king is nothing like the usual sneaky queen. But, with a brain sharper than a toddler learning to walk, the king decides to use the production skills the hero possesses. Since they're running low on food, he offers Shoji a vacant house and a field on the outskirts of the royal capital, giving him the quest to use his skill in order to provide food for their country. A week has flown by since he arrived in this seemingly dreamlike world. During this time, he continuously experimented with his newfound power. Shoji was astounded when he attempted to grow vegetables using the cultivation skill and witnessed seeds sprouting in just a matter of days. Yet, the novelty of his abilities wore off rather swiftly, as there seemed to be little else of interest. However, on the 8th day, he came to the realization that this place might not be a mere dream but could indeed be reality. And carrying a box full of freshly grown vegetables in one hand, he decided to go see the king. When Shoji presented his first harvest to King Ru, he noticed the monarch's joy at the prospect of the nation's hunger being eased. Taking advantage of the moment, he asked about his possible return home. However, the king sadly told him that once summoned, a hero could not leave. Shoji was stuck in this world forever. Furious at this news, Shoji drowned his sorrows in drink, regretting his wasted efforts. He remembered his lonely childhood, with his parents working tirelessly on their farm. Despite their initial happiness, their financial troubles grew until they fell victim to a scam, leaving them in debt. After losing both parents, Shoji left the farm behind, rejecting his agricultural heritage. Instead, he pursued a corporate career, only to be dragged into this strange world just as he achieved success. Drunk and out of options, Shoji whimsically planted a bottle of booze in the ground, believing the liquor would sprout like in a fairy tale. Exhausted from wasting all his energy, he fell asleep beside it. The next day, hungover and broke, he planned to scavenge any crops he could sell, but was astonished to find a tree laden with bottles of alcohol. Recollecting his drunken antics, he marveled at the extent of his abilities. Unsure of the authenticity of what had grown before him, he sampled the liquor, finding it genuine. Taking the bottles to town, he approached a skeptical shopkeeper who reluctantly tasted the liquor. Surprised by the taste, the shopkeeper offered to buy them, giving Shoji 8 silver coins. During this encounter, the boy also learned that in this world, alcohol does not grow on trees, but is crafted through traditional medieval methods. Realizing the potential of his farming skills, Shoji chose independence over serving the monarchy, fearing a fate similar to that of his parents. After purchasing some high-selling items, he returned home and began cultivating various goods, from healing potions to shields and swords. Testing the limits of his ability, he erected a large fence around his garden to avoid unwanted detection. In the end, he discovered he could grow anything, even items without seeds, by simply planting them in the ground. This led to an unlimited accumulation of wealth, since he could even plant coins. Realizing that once the king discovered his ability, freedom would be a distant dream, Shoji decided to utilize his power for his own happiness. Becoming an independent businessman had always been his dream, to do as he pleased whenever he pleased. Could this skill finally grant him that opportunity? To find out, he began by registering as a trader, bought a wagon, and stocked it with goods, hiring adventurers for protection against bandits. His team consisted of 3 adventurers: Kyle the warrior, Kava the archer, and Main, a slender girl wielding a hefty iron rod. As they set out, Shoji asked Kyle about their history as a team. Kyle laughed, explaining that he could never permanently team up with the weapon killer, referring to Main. Just as Kyle began to elaborate, bandits attacked. The group quickly formed a strategy, with Kava shooting from the back, Kyle fighting at the front, and Shoji hiding in the wagon. Inside, Shoji was nervous, but outside, Kava and Kyle efficiently defeated the bandits. Shoji was reassured until he saw Main's clumsy movements. However, when a bandit underestimated her, she effortlessly sent him flying with her rod. This surprised Shoji and the bandits, who retreated quickly. Shoji praised their strength but found Main in tears. Her weapon was broken. He was surprised that her sturdy rod could be shattered, earning her the nickname, the Weapon Killer. Main cheered up when she received a new weapon, a mithril sword, from the bandits' loot. Kyle suggested selling the expensive sword, but Main refused, promising to keep it safe. Upon arriving in the bustling market city, Shoji is amazed by the surroundings and the multitude of people walking on the streets. Tonight, he is going to open his own store, and because of that, he encourages others to do whatever they want since he believes that inside the town should be safe. This surprises the guards, who are grateful to the employer for being so generous and treating them with respect. While the 2 guards had left, Main decided to stay back and speak with Shoji. It turns out she was looking for extra work to generate more income. That's how she became the sales clerk and effortlessly carried all those big boxes. She seems like smoke because of her superhuman strength. Because Shoji had spoken with the merchant guild to set up his shop during the free market overnight, he missed the chance of sleeping with Main at the inn. And now, while preparing the stuff for the big day that was to come, Main came across a handkerchief that looked extremely beautiful and started asking questions about it, since this quality of cloth was remarkable in this world. Hearing the girl's enthusiasm, Shoji decided to give it to her, prompting the girl to show a big smile. When he's done arranging his stuff, Shoji looks at it and believes that since he got overly excited, he ended up abusing that skill and bringing way too much with him. At which point, when the girl observed, she was amazed to see how many different kinds of things he owned. The customers on the street seemed to be from the middle class, and because of that, he decides to place the groceries in the front while the expensive clothes and ornaments sit in the back. This is also another way to protect the more expensive stuff if someone were trying to steal it. Now, when he shouts out loud that his store has opened, lots of people have gathered around, but all their attention is on the cute-looking girl. When people finally started buying stuff, they considered the prices to be too low. For example, they were only paying 2 copper coins for some vegetables. Apparently, this guy had come to the market without even considering researching the prices and how things are selling in this world. He just compared the coins to the yen and the prices he had in the previous world. When trying to correct his mistake by increasing the price 4 times, he still ends up with a lower price than the market. However, when people ask about the dried meat and find out that is only 30 copper coins, they start pushing and throwing their money, as this kind of price is nowhere to be found. As a result, he ends up selling all the vegetables and the meat. Yet, this story is far from over. A group of women, all looking remarkably similar, comes looking for some meat they've heard is cheap. Unfortunately, they run out of meat, which leads him to present the clothes instead. When they hear the price for the clothes is 3 gold coins, they all start running away, telling him to wait a second. And a second later, lots of juicy balls start jumping around, covered by some gold coins. In this world where sewing technology is underdeveloped, clothes are valuable. But for Shoji, he only had to buy one of each type and then duplicate them using his cultivation skill. While women keep coming, he ends up losing track of his remaining stock, and not too long after that, he realizes they've sold out. This achievement surprises the other shop owners, as it is only morning hours. But for the big, bouncy balls, clothes-hungry women, it's not enough, and they demand more clothes to be brought the next time. The next morning, on their journey back home, everyone praises him for his skills as a great merchant, as everything inside his cart gets sold. But as the royal capital comes into sight, a group of identical bandits jumps in front of them, demanding all the money and the girl, prompting Maine to draw her mithril sword and demonstrate her power. She dispatches them without any problems, even as more of them appear. Using her strong sword, she cuts through their weapons and takes them out like they're nothing but small fries. However, that doesn't last long until the weapon's durability reaches its end and it breaks, leaving the girl in disarray. She's managed to break another great sword, earning her the nickname Weapon Killer once again. Looking at it, the guy's opinion about the girl is quite low, suggesting that even if she were to find another weapon in the loot, she would end up breaking it as well. Upon arriving in the town, the guards express a desire to work for him again whenever necessary. As Shoji makes his way home, he thinks about Maine, whom he believes should quit being an adventurer since she breaks all the weapons she handles. But her raw power is amazing. Maybe it would be a good thing to make use of it. However, now is not the time to think about others. Shoji must take care of himself as he does not know when the kingdom will eliminate the useless hero. Plus, if they find out about his true power, they will most probably exploit it until his last day in that place. To prevent this from happening, he must leave this kingdom as soon as possible. But before that, he must gather some information. The next day, as he was gathering information and went by the Adventurers Guild, he came across Maine, who was aggressively approached by a big-looking guy who menacingly declared that she would become a slave.